Madam, now it is live. You can start.
Yes, yes. Good morning, students, and welcome back to another lecture of Basic Geography. And I'm Mansi Angne from Khednagar Secondary School, Bandra East. And this lecture, we are going to see the basic geography. Before that, let's see what we have done in the previous lecture, that is yesterday's lecture. Okay, this is what we have done yesterday. That we'll see in the part. Let's recall what we have studied yesterday. In the last lecture, we have acquainted with a previous knowledge based on the last 2 years textbook, that is of 7th standard and 8th standard, and whatever thing which we need in the 9th standard, we have learned basic knowledge about the earth. We have seen about the globe structure, that is in the structure of globe, why the earth is blue in color, because it is the large amount of the area of the earth, that is 74% area is covered with the liquid or frozen water. So our earth is seen blue in color. So this also we have seen yesterday. Then we have seen the two tools to study the earth. The tools were globe and the second tool were map. We have also learned about the water bodies. Those are the oceans of the earth: Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. As well as we have seen about the continents. There are 7 continents altogether: Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. We have learned about the rotation of Earth, that is, the Earth movement around its own axis is called its rotation. It takes 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4,090.53 seconds to complete one rotation. We have also learned about the revolution, that is the movement of Earth around the sun is called as the revolution. Around its own axis is rotation, and around the sun it is called as revolution. It takes 365 days to complete one revolution. We have also learned how rotation and revolution of the earth gives rise to the season as well as day and night phenomena. We have seen about latitudes and longitudes. Now, what are these latitudes? Latitudes are the horizontal line on the earth, whereas longitudes are the vertical lines on the globe. Yesterday, we have also seen about the globe, its structure, what things are there to be seen or to be learned on that globe. Is the equator 0 degree, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, both the ways north and south 23.5, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, then North Pole, South Pole, then the tropical zone and the temperate zone. We have also seen about the location of India, where actually India is located, on which particular continent, which line passes through this India. That is India situated in the northern hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere, and Tropic of Cancer passes from the middle of India. We have also seen the longitudinal and latitudinal extent of India, as well as the time zone, that is Indian Standard Time, which passes from Mirzapur, UP, because India is having the 3 longitudes which covers the widened area of India. And the issue was there, like which longitude to be taken into consideration to follow the one time zone. So that is why one middle time zone latitude, that is taken into consideration, which passes from Mirzapur, UP, and considered to be an Indian Standard Time. We have also learned about GMT, that is Greenwich Mean Time, which is also called as prime meridian, which passes from 0° longitude. Then we have seen about the maps, that is how to read the maps, what things should be kept in the mind while reading the map, as well as what is scale, what type of scales are there, how to consider the direction while reading or studying the map. So many things we have covered in the first lecture, that was yesterday, in the basic geography part 1. And now we are going to get more knowledge in the second part, and we are going to see some more important topics of basic geography. So today we'll be going to through some important topic related to the interior of the earth. Now we have covered what is globe. We have seen what things are shown on the globe, as well as we have seen where is the location of India on the globe. Now we'll go to some of the phenomena which are related with the interior of the earth. That interior of the earth you must have learned in standard 8. You are having a lesson based on that interior of earth. In 9th standard we are having a lesson based on that basic knowledge of interior of the earth, such as endogenous movement and exogenous movement. In 9th standard, lesson number 2 and 3, that we are going to see in detail afterwards when we'll start with a portion. But before that, it is very necessary to go with the basic knowledge of interior of earth. So we'll move to the slide. So our earth was formed approximately 46 million years ago. Initially, it was in a gaseous state. So it was formed approximately 46 million years ago, and it was in a gaseous state. It started cooling through the process of radiation. The earth then liquefied with time, and outermost part of the earth cooled first and became solid. The outermost part of the earth which was there, it was cooled first and became solid, which is called as the crust. So let's see the structure of interior of the earth. This particular diagram you was having in standard 8, that is interior of the earth. And to get the more knowledge about this, it is necessary to revise this particular diagram once again. So you can see here on the slide the image showing the earth's interior. The uppermost layer of the earth's surface is in the solid form, and it is called as the crust. You can see over here the uppermost layer, which is in the solid form, and it is called as the crust. The crust is divided into upper layer and inner layer, that is continental crust and oceanic crust. The upper layer, which consists of land area, and the inner layer consists of the area below the ocean surface. So you can see here in the diagram, the crust is divided into upper crust and lower crust. The upper crust is the land where we are staying, and the lower crust is the surface below the ocean, below the oceans. Now this is made up of, the layer consists of, below the surface, ocean surface is made up of silica and magnesium. Now this is related with the first thing. Okay, first part we have covered. The first part of the earth's interior is crust, which is divided into upper crust and the lower crust, that is land crust and the oceanic crust. Now we'll go a little bit down to the second layer, to the next layer. You can see here, we'll go down to the next layer, that is the mantle. The mantle can be divided into upper layer and the lower layer. Again, in the mantle, we are having upper layer and the lower layer. The upper layer is more in a liquid form through the chamber of magma, and the magma comes out on the earth's surface during the volcanic eruption. So this upper layer which is there, it is in the liquid form. And whatever comes out, that is the magma, during the volcanic eruption, when it comes out, when it is inside the mantle, we call it as a magma. But when it comes out during the volcanic eruption, we call it as a lava. Now you must be knowing about this process. The internal energy is released and it is responsible for mountain building, rifts, earthquakes, etc., which will be learning this year in the 9th standard. So the landforms are also formed because of this internal movement of the earth, and that we are going to study in this year, that is in the 9th standard. We'll move further, that is for the last layer, that is the inner part. The inner part is called as the core. You can see here the inner part which is there, it is called as the core. It starts from the depth of about 2,900 kilometers from the Earth's surface, and it is again divided into outer core and inner core. The outer core is a semi-liquid and in the liquid form, and the inner core you can see here, that is in the solid form. So again this core is divided into outer core and the inner core. Okay, the outer core is in the semi-liquid and liquid form. Certain amount of solid particles are also there, as well as the liquid is present in this outer core, and the inner core is in the solid form. So once again, we can see the three layers. That is the first layer, crust. Crust is divided into outer crust, inner crust. Second layer, that is the mantle. Again, the mantle is divided into two things. And then the last part, it is called as the core. The core is again divided into inner core and outer core. So this is all about the interior of the earth. This diagram, this particular diagram is very, very important to understand all the phenomena which is related. Students, we have learned about this interior of earth, which layers are there. We are not going to go in the detail because you have learned now what types of minerals are there present in each layer, and everything you have learned in 8th standard. Now, due to this movement of the earth, that is the interior movement of the earth, it gives rise to the different landforms that we are going to study in the lesson, second and third lesson, as I told you. So revising this particular diagram was essential. Now, we'll just move little bit away from this diagram. You have to keep this diagram in a mind. Now we'll move little bit away. We are going to some of the geographical phenomena which are very important to be studied and which is necessary when you study geography. This particular things you should know about. So we are moving further. Okay, so just come out of that topic, that is of the interior of the earth. And now we are going to see about the geographical terms. That is the one important term which you can hear every now and then, and that is called as the natural disaster. You can see here on the screen the different types of the photographs are there, which is depicting the natural disaster. You can see the tornado over here. You can see the destruction which is created by the earthquake and the volcanic eruption. You can see the cyclone over here. You can see the tsunamis over here. So all together it is called as the natural disaster. Now, what are this natural disaster? Any natural phenomena. Okay, remember students, it is not man-made, but it is naturally happened. So any natural phenomena which may cause a loss of life and property, which may cause a loss of life and property for the man, is called as an natural disaster. So once again, I repeat, any natural phenomena which may cause the loss of life and property for man is called as a natural disaster. It is not man-made, but it is caused by the natural forces of earth. Now let's see these types of natural disasters. There are many types of natural disasters, count about 9, and we are going to see them in detail in the today's lecture. So this you can see here a beautiful slide on the screen. This is one of the natural disaster. It is called as the forest fire. Now, what is this forest fire? The forest fire is also called as the wildfire. It is also called as the bushfire. So, three names are there. Three terms in English are there for this forest fire: wildfire, forest fire, and bushfire. These are uncontrollable fire which takes place where there are lot of vegetation. That means forest, a dense forest. So this is an uncontrollable fire which cannot be controlled. Now controllable fire, when it bursts out, you can pour a water on it and you can put it off. So, but this is the fire which is out of control. You cannot you cannot bring it in a control in a small way. You have to like arrange for many things to bring this forest fire in a control, which takes place where there is a lot of vegetation, where many trees are there, where a dense forest is there. So this type of forest fires occurs. You must have remembered, okay, you must have remembered, before a couple of years there was a forest fire in the jungle of Australia. This you must have seen in the TV, in the on the news and all, that before the couple of years there was a forest fire in the jungle of Australia, and this can be, the fire can be, now what are the causes? When we talk about the forest fire, like who is actually putting the fires in the forest? Are these people go over there and they put the fire in the forest? It is not that way, students. So how does it happens? How the forest gets a fire in this much quantity? The fire can be like, what are the causes? The fire can be the cause of the lightning strikes. Sometimes there is a lightning strikes and the combustion due to the hot, dry temperature. Sometimes there is a combustion due to the hot, dry temperature. The fire, the woods get rubbed with each other because of the constant friction, because of the constant rubbing of the woods on each other. Since it is a dense forest, remember students, and the woods are getting rubbed, the woods are getting frictions. And because of this friction, the result of this friction, what happens? Then there is a fire, the result into uncontrollable fire. In Canada, Fort McMurray, which often experience this type of forest fire. So most of the time in Canada, this type of forest fire happens. So this is one of the natural disaster, that is the forest fire. Now we'll move to the next slide. Okay. So you can see here the next type of the natural disaster that are called as the floods. Now this type of floods, this condition, you can see students, now you can see this type of condition in Mumbai also. Such a type of condition occurs because there is no place or no space for the water to move out. So that is why it get accumulated, and this type of condition occurs in the rainy season, most part of the Mumbai. So what are these floods? Look at the slides, you can see such a condition here. Okay, it can also happen due to the overflow of the river. So in what ways it can happen? It can happen due to the overflows of the river, tsunamis, even if the snow melt, in the Himalayas and all, if the snow melt because of because in the rise of the temperature, rapidly the floods can be the serious and very serious, because they can make a loss or and damage for the people. You can see the people can be drawn into this flood water, and different may be the different problems in the people may have the different problem, such as the power failure. Now what problems are related along with this flood? When it rains heavily, the water get accumulated at one place. Often the rivers are overflowed, and then the water is entering into the village, or is entering into the city and making the life disturb of everyone. The people are not able to move out of their houses to visit their daily jobs or to do the daily work, household works and all also they cannot do. And you can see here in the slide, the roads are getting blocked. The people cannot move from one place to another. That time, the people which are there, helping hands which are there, so management committee, they comes and help the people to take out from that particular area. Recently we had, like last year we had the condition of flood that was in Kolhapur also, and the same thing happened over there. Many animals were also drowned into the water. Many peoples were also drowned into the water. People lost their lives, and their property was damaged. So people have to move from one place to another. There, what else the different types of problem comes along with this flood? That is the power failure, no electricity. Okay, no electricity for 8 days, and as well as no network. So this many things happen because of this floods. So this is also one of the natural disaster. Now let us move to the another type of the natural disaster. Okay, you can see here on the screen, this is like different part. It's just opposite of the heavy rain, where there is no rain, where there is a lack of water. This type or this condition occurs. Now this is the condition, this is called as a drought. Now what is this drought? This is the condition when there is no rain for a long period of time. So we are having an area even in Maharashtra where it doesn't rain, or where it rain very less. That is in the central Maharashtra, central part of Maharashtra, it rains very less. So this type of condition occurs over there when there is no rain for a long period of time. There is a lack of precipitation. There is a lack of precipitation. What is precipitation? That we are going to study in ninth standard. A precipitation means the water which comes on the earth in the different forms, like snow, then rain, then frost, mist, and in many forms. So that is called as the precipitation. So there is no precipitation means no any type of moisture. So due to the lack of water, what happens on the ground? It becomes dry, and you can say this type of a design creates because there is no water in the ground, there is no moisture to hold the soil, so it gets splits, and you can see the type of a design occurs. Now it creates the problem. What problems are created because of this drought? The most serious, it's affect the agriculture, and India is an agricultural country, so it is very dangerous. This type of condition is very dangerous. So this create a problem for agriculture. That means the farmers will not be able to produce anything or enough food. People may die due to the lack of the food and water, which the condition is also called as famine condition, which comes along with this drought condition, which is very harmful, and many people died because of this drought and famines. So this type of condition occurs mostly in the area where there is very less rainfall, in the desert region also, and where there is a very less rainfall. This is called as a drought. So drought is a condition where there is no rain or no water for the long period of time. So now let's move further to another type of the natural disaster. Okay, you can see here on the screen, the fourth type of the natural disaster is earthquake. You must have learned this in the previous classes, because just now we have seen that is the interior of the earth diagram. And in that particular lesson, interior of the earth lesson, you must have seen about the condition of earthquake, where the earth's surface starts shaking. Now, what is this condition of earthquake means? The earthquake means the earth's surface which is there, it starts shaking. Often the cracks are formed. The buildings and all, they also start shaking. Sometimes the trees are uprooted. Sometimes the buildings falls down. So this type of condition occurs. Now, why this earthquake occurs? Just now you have seen the diagram of the interior of the earth. In that interior of the earth, we have learned last year, that is in the 8th standard, how the waves are responsible for shaking of the tectonic plates. This tectonic plates, the primary waves and the secondary waves, they shake the tectonic plates, and these plates collide on each other. They get friction on each other. A type of friction occurs, and they collide on each other. The area get rupture, and a certain kind of energy is released, which comes out actually, but when it comes out, it called as a volcanic eruption. But when it hits on the surface, that is from below the surface interior of earth, so it is called as the earthquake. The cracks are from. The pressure leads out to the earthquake. The main point where it starts, it is called as the epicenter. The main points where actually this earthquake starts, it is called as the epicenter. With more magnitude and cause can be more disastrous. If the magnitude is more of this earthquake, so there is an instrument also, there are instruments to measure this earthquake waves, seismograph and all those instruments which are there. You must have learned in the previous classes or the previous standards. There is an instrument to measure the earthquake waves or magnitude of these waves. So when they are of more magnitude, a more destruction can be caused because of this earthquake. In India also, this type of earthquake we have experienced in the back years. In the recent years, we have also experienced this type of earthquake. So let's move further. That is in the next type. Okay. So here you can see on the screen, this is the next type of natural disaster, and it is called as tsunami. So you can see here the spelling, it is called as tsunami. The T is silent over here, and it spells with like TSUNAMI. So the students should not call it tsunami, it is called as tsunami, because the T is silent over here. It's in part of English. Okay. So tsunami, now what are the tsunami? You can see here in the slide, two slides are there. You can see the giant waves, the giant sea waves are coming out. Actually, you and I, we all like to go near the sea to spend the time. But during tsunami, a high alert is given from the weather forecast department that nobody should go near the sea. Now, why this type of a high alert or red alert is given? Because there may be the condition of tsunami, and when it's a condition of tsunami, the height of the sea waves are more larger that it can reach above the buildings and it can come on you, and many people can go inside it, can be drowned into the water. So, what is the tsunami? Now, tsunamis are the giant waves which are very, very dangerous. The occurrence is seen in the oceans and seas. Now, where it occurs, it doesn't occurs on the ground like earthquake. So, where it occurs, the occurrence is seen in the ocean and the seas due to the shifting of tectonic plates as in the earthquake. So the same thing happened. Now the process which I have just now explained you, what happens in the earthquake, the same thing happened here in the tsunami, in the case of tsunami. Now that is happened where on the landmass, the earthquake things happen on the landmass. Now this is happened below the ocean or water surface. Below the ocean or water surface, the same tectonic plates which are there, they are shifted, and a slight type of a energy which is released out due to the pressure, which creates an extra force for the waves to come out. With an extra force, the height of the waves are also increasing. So when it comes out with an extra force, what it does, it wipe out the surface, it wipe out everything which is there near to the sea. It wipe out, it vanish out the houses which are there, it takes with itself the people if they are walking over there. So whatever comes in its way, it takes it inside the sea. So this is called as tsunami. So tsunami is also a type of a pressure like that, similar to the earthquake, which is released from the ocean, from inside of the ocean due to the rubbing of the tectonic plates, and this is called as the tsunami. Now, with the waves in, now one more thing you have to remember, that in 2011 there was an earthquake with tsunami in Japan. So in Japan in 2011, you can, if you search on the net, you can get a detail out of this detail what has happened. So there was an earthquake and there was a tsunami also. So there was a double destruction occurred in 2011 in Japan, which made a lot of damage for the life and property. So, students, this can be a very dangerous. So, during rainy season, during monsoon season, when there is a high alert given by the government, so it is always necessary that we should follow it and we should not go near the sea or the ocean, because you will not get time to run, because the waves are coming with a force like, in the normal condition the sea waves are not having that much force that it can come out of the particular till the particular area, but in the tsunami the waves are having an extra force, and the waves can be a big giant waves which can wipe out everything. So students, remember that when there is a high alert, not to move out this way only, just to pass the time near the sea surface. So this is one of the natural disaster. Now let's move to another type of a natural disaster. Okay, you can see here on the screen, it's an condition of hurricane. Okay, what is this hurricane? Now, hurricane can be also called as the cyclone. Remember, students, how many terms are there for this hurricane in English? So is it one and the same? Hurricane is also called as the cyclone. It is also called as the typhoon. So three names are there for this hurricane: hurricane, cyclone, and typhoon. So they are one and all same. Cyclone occurs mostly near the coastal area. Now, where these cyclones are occurring, where it is a coastal area, Mumbai is also near to the coast. So where there is an coastal area, the cyclones are or these hurricanes are happening. The areas which are near to the sea coast, a hurricane is a giant means by big spiraling tropical storm. Now, what are this hurricane? The hurricanes are the giant. Okay, giant means having a lot of energy, and they are spiraling. It they comes with a round and round motion, that is a spiral motion. Tropical storms with very fast, strong winds, and along with this, there are very strong, fast winds, and with the spiraling, spinning wind also comes lot and lot of heavy rainfall. So see the condition how it happens in the cyclone. You are actually experiencing it. You must have experienced it before few days also, but here the what you can say is that the impact was not that much, where it was seen most in the part of the Konkan area and also in the Durga district, Ratnagiri district. There was a lot of effect of the last recently happened hurricane. Okay, so how it comes, it those are the giant big spiraling tropical storms. Okay, how it comes, it comes with the spiraling wind, spiraling and spinning and round wind with a lot and lot of heavy rainfall. So there is an addition of the rain plus heavy wind, which creates a lot of damage. So addition of rain and wind with force, which create a lot of damage in this particular condition. The area in the middle of this hurricane, remember students, the area which is there in the middle of this storm or a hurricane is very calm. It's very calm and it is called an eye. And when the hurricane or the cyclone occurs, it damages the surrounding area. Now, what type of damages? Here on the screen also you can see the type of damage it creates. It damaged the surrounding area. The trees are uprooted. The big trees, they are falling. The branches are falling down on the people going, and they can fall on the vehicles. They can fall on the houses. So, and building collapses. The people may die due to the falling of buildings and houses. The students, now you must have remembered the recently occurred cyclone. Okay, what was the name of it? That was the Tokti cyclone recently occurred. So you must have experienced this type of condition. Now this is all about this cyclone. Okay, let's move further to the next type of the natural disaster. Okay, you can see here on the screen, this is called as the tornado. So this is also a little bit closer to the cyclone, but it is little different from a cyclone. A little difference is there between the cyclone and the tornado. You can see here on the screen something is spiraling and moving, and something around round is seen over here in the screen. Now, what is this, student? How it is different from cyclone? Because the cyclones are occurring near the coastal area. Okay, where the cyclones are occurring, we have seen in the last slide where the cyclones are occurring near the coastal area where there is a sea coast. Okay, whereas now what is the difference? Tornado occurs on the land that is in the plain area away from the sea coast. The plain area which is away from the sea coast, the type of a cyclonic condition comes, and it is actually called as the tornado. A tornado is also spiraling, spinning, and it's a funnel like cloud. You can see here in the screen, a tornado is and spiraling. Okay, spiraling. The movement is spiral. It's like a spring. You can see here it's like spring, and it is spinning. Spinning means rotating. Spinning is called as a rotation. Spinning, and it's in the shape of a funnel, like a cloud. It's in big cloud which is spiraling, spinning, and funnel shape. When it moves, now you can imagine, students, or you must have seen in the National Geographic region channels this type of programs you can able to see, or you can see this type of videos in the YouTubes also of the tornado. And how it comes within force and wipes out whatever things comes in the middle of it. It just take out the things. Wipes out mean it just take out the things, whatever comes in the middle of it, with a massive force. Massive means a big force. A tornado is seen to be connected to the thunder cloud and the down to the earth's surface. Now, where you can see the connection of this funnel like thing. The connection of the funnel like thing is seen up, it is touching the thundercloud. Okay, when you see it in the up, it is actually touching, it is seen to be touching like a thundercloud, and down it is touching on the surface of the earth. You can see directly the tornado moving. The wind are spinning. So this tornado, you can actually see it is moving from one place to another. If you stand at very far distance, you can actually experience this beautiful magical sight of the tornado, how it moves with the spiraling and spinning wind, and how it takes, how it wipes everything, whatever the trees, whatever the houses, and everything, whatever comes in its way. It starts grabbing all the things. So the another word for this particular tornado is called as a twister. So another word for this tornado is called twister. Now twister means it twists everything from the ground, whatever comes on it way, it just remove it and it just throws it out. So that is called as twisting or turning. So this is called as tornado. Now this tornado can be a very dangerous. This tornado can be very dangerous type of the natural disaster, which is also like cyclone, but we have seen that cyclones are occurring near the coastal areas, whereas the tornadoes are occurring on the plain surface away from the coastlines. So students, I think you must have understood the what is the difference between cyclone and what is the difference between tornado. Let's move further. Okay, so here also one more natural disasters is there. You must have learned in the previous standard about the volcanic eruption. Same whatever the diagram I have shown you, the interior of earth. In that particular lesson, there was this terms which was mentioned, that is the earthquakes and the volcanic eruption. So what actually happens in this particular thing? Now you can see here in the slide something like a fire, something like a red. It's coming out. It is in the different forms. You can see the ash over here. You can see a type of a fire which burst out, or you can see the dangerous side in this volcanic eruption, this particular slide. So what is this? Due to the movement of the waves in the interior of the earth, the molten material is thrown out on the earth's surface with the force means eruption occurs. Now, the interior energy which are there, the seismic waves which are there, which are actually taking out all the material which are there in the mantle portion, that is the magma, that is the red liquid, And when it comes out, when the magma comes out due to the rubbing of the tectonic plates, the energy is released further, primary waves, and then it comes out with a particular opening. It comes out with a force. And what things are actually coming out from that? The deadly gases are coming out from that. The lava, which is the magma, it comes out from this eruption. The lava also comes out from this eruption, and the stones are coming out from this eruption, the ash is coming out from this eruption. Now this volcanic eruption can occur in a different way. So the volcanoes can be like central vent volcano. Now here in the screen, the volcano which is shown here is the central vent volcano, which is come out. The eruption has occurred from a one single mouth or a vent. It is called as the mouth or vent. That is called as the central vent volcano. Sometime the eruption occurs at one or two places, like this volcanic eruption is there side by side only, another mouth would have been open, and you can see the multiple places from where this eruption is occurring and it's coming out, the lava is coming out. So that is called as the fissure volcano. So volcanoes occurrence two types, that is central vent volcano and the fissure volcano, which comes out through the different mouth. It is called as the fissure volcano. Now, some volcanoes are active volcanoes, like which are erupting very often year and now, and some volcanoes are dormant volcanoes which are erupted some years back, but they have not erupt after that. So that is called as the dormant volcanoes. So volcanoes two types, that is active volcano and a dormant volcano. Now, when this type of volcanic eruption occurs, it can create a damage for the surrounding area, and also the different landforms are formed because of this volcanic eruption. It gives rise to the different mountains areas. So the different types of landforms are also formed, which we are going to learn in our next revision lecture, that is about the landforms. Okay, so what types of landforms are forms? So as well as this is also a natural disaster which create a loss of life, of damage of and the property. Now we'll go to the next type of natural disaster. Okay, students, this is called as avalanche. Now, what is this avalanche? Avalanche and landslide, they are too similar, but they are little difference, like that of the cyclone and like that of the tornado. So, what is this avalanche and what are landslide? So, first we will see what is avalanche. Now, avalanche and landslides are too similar, but the occurrence is seen in the different places. Let's see what is this avalanche. Avalanche means the snow slide. You can see here in the slide, the snow is coming down with a force. It is called as the snow slide, or the term, the geographical term for this particular occurrence is called as an avalanche. Due to the melting of snow, when the snow breaks and fall down with the force in a low-lying areas, what will happen when something will come from the heighted areas, that is from the snow mountain to the low-lying areas? When it comes with a force, it actually create a lot and lot of problem. It can block the roads in between. When there is a snowfall, you must have heard in the news and all, due to the snowfalls the roads are blocked in Kulu Manali areas, Himalayan ranges and all. Now, why this type of things happen? Due to the melting of the snow. When the temperature increases, there is a melting of the snow, and it comes down with the force without notice. It comes down without any warning. It comes down with the in the force and can kill the many people. If actually the peoples are walking in this low lying area, it can kill the people. And sometimes it comes down all of a sudden and can create a destruction. the people, those who are going for the ice sports, skiing and all, the people who are enjoying the traveling, who comes for the tourism and all. So all these people have to face the type of destruction occurs with this avalanche. Now the people who are just experiencing it, they must have understood like how dangerous this avalanche can be. Now we'll go to the next natural disaster, which I told you just now, that avalanche and landslide, actually the process is the same. In the avalanche, the snow is coming down with the force. In the landslide, the mud is coming down with the force due to the agent of erosion. So this is called as landslide. The landslide is also the same procedure, but here the soil is coming, or it's also called as a mudslide. So for landslide, the another name is mudslide, where literally what happens, the mud, the water and other debris gets down by the agent of erosion. Now what are these agent of erosion? Agent of erosion will be learning this year, or you must have learned in the previous year a short, in short, like the wind, river, different types of glaciers, different types of agents of erosions are there, which brings down the material with them. Those are called as the agent of erosion. So this mud, the all debris, all the water is brought down with the agent of erosion and can cause damage to the people living over there in that particular area. Now you can see here in the slide, the buildings are there, the houses are there, and the erosion has occurred from the hilly region. All the mud, a big amount of mud has come down and it has totally covered the area. The houses are just went inside this mudslide. Now the similar condition occurred just a couple of years ago in the village of Malin village near Pune. You must have seen this in the news. The Malin village near the Pune, the whole area was under the mudslides. Many people died. The houses only went inside the mud, and the many whole village was inside the mud, and the many people died in that. Afterwards some people were rescued out of it by the rescue team. So that was the just destruction happened because of this landslide. So this can be a very dangerous type of a thing. So this is also a type of natural disaster. Now today we have covered with many of the geographical terms. Okay, so we'll go back. This was the natural, some of the natural disaster. So we'll go back and have a revision. So today we have started with a recall section. That was what we have learned yesterday. We have learned yesterday about the globe, about the maps, about the rotation, revolution, and whatever terms related with this globe. And we have studied about GMT, IST. That okay, that's a revision part. Then the structure of Earth. Again, we have seen today the interior of the Earth. What layers are there in the interior of the Earth? The three layers which are there: crust, mantle, inner core, outer core. The layers which are there, which you have studied in detail in the last year. What minerals are there? Silica, magnesium, and all everything you have studied last year. Then we have seen about the natural disaster, that is a natural phenomena occurs by the forces of the earth. Natural forces, destruction causes by the natural forces. It is not man-made. Are different. So again, we have seen in the natural disaster 9 types of natural disaster we have seen today. A forest fire, which causes due to the friction or the thunder or the lightning. This is mostly in the part of the dense forest where there is a lot of vegetation, mostly in the part of Australia. Then we have seen another, that is the flood. it is in the coastal area, because where it rains heavily, this type of condition of floods occur due to the overflow of the river, and it can create many multiple problems along with it. Then we have seen another condition, that is drought, where there is actually a opposite of what you have seen in the previous slide. This is where the lack of water, the condition creates of famine and drought, where the nothing can be grown. The farmer is having a lot of problem. The people also have a lot of problem. People die because of nothing to eat. So this is also one natural disaster. Then we have seen today earthquake where the cracks are formed or the shaking of the earth's surface, and what type of the destruction can cause because of this earthquake we have seen. Then we have seen the tsunami are the giant waves, are the massive waves, are the big powerful waves which comes with a lot of power and wipes everything which comes on its ways. Then we have seen the hurricane as a cyclone or the typhoon. It's a name for this hurricane, which are the massive wind as type of a condition, which also create a lot of destruction for the loss and the loss in the life and property. Then we have seen the tornado. Tornado are the spiraling and spinning and the funnel like cloud which is seen, and which is so massive, which takes everything, which uproots everything and wipes out everything, whatever comes in its way. It's called as a tornado. Then we have seen volcanic eruption. The sudden energy is released from the interior of earth, and the magma, that is the lava, comes out of it with some of the dangerous poisonous gases, and a cloud of ashes are thrown, and the dark cloud is formed. We have also seen the types in it. Then we have seen the avalanche. Avalanche is actually the condition of falling of the snow, that is called as the avalanche. And we have seen the last one, that was the landslide. The landslide, it is similar to that of the avalanche. It is also the falling of the same mud, not snow, but here the mud, and which can cover up the whole village or which can make a loss of the life and property. So today we have done the interior of earth, as well as we have covered some of the basic terms of geography which are called as natural disaster. So I think students, I hope I have explained you in a very good way, and you must have understood all types of the natural disasters and what is the different terms, what are the different terms, English terms to call out this natural disaster. They are not one and the same, but are having the same disastrous or dangerous effect. So students, thank you, and we'll meet again in the next geography lecture with some of the beautiful geography terms and some terms which are very essential that students of geography should know about. Thank you, students. If you're having any type of queries, you can ask me right now. Hello, ma'am. I've done with my lecture.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
ma'am. I've
Good
done with my
morning.
lecture.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mansi ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Pratiksha ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Yeah, very good morning to you.
Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you can start.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Pratiksha Bhalerao from Tank Road, MPS Secondary School, Bhandup. Today, we are going to discuss about your previous topics like human digestive system, which you have been taught since very small. So, it's human digestive system. Let us discuss something about it. See, you can see a diagram over there. Can anybody tell me what are the different organs you can see over here? Can anybody tell me? Okay. You can see mouth is there. You can see uh, alimentary canal is there. Liver, you can see stomach, large intestine, small intestine, rectum. All these things you can see. This is included in our digestive system. So the digestive system consists of the alimentary canal and digestive glands. Can anybody tell me what do you mean by alimentary canal? Can you understood by alimentary canal? You have learned in your previous school. It's related with digestion. It's related with digestion. All the things that are related with digestion is called as alimentary canal. And canal means a passage is there through which the source, the food we eat, is going towards the other organs. The total length of the alimentary canal is about 9 meters. It's long and it's about 9 meters. See, what is digestive system? The system of organs responsible for getting food into and out of the body and for making use of food to keep the body healthy. The things, the food stuff that we are eating every day, we are taking it inside and it is expelling out from our body. So the between process is called as digestion. So what it is there? Why we are eating food? To keep our body healthy and fit. Now, conversion of food into a soluble form and its absorption into the blood is called as digestion. Means the food we eat and the soluble system, and when it absorbs into our blood, it is called as digestion. Means the food, the food we eat, what happens to it? The body churns it and it goes down into the stomach. The digestive system includes the salivary glands, mouth, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine and rectum. The digestive system consists of alimentary canal and digestive glands. So its main part are mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. The salivary glands, liver and pancreas are the digestive glands connected to this alimentary canal. Different organs are there which perform the different functions. So let us see about the main basic function of this digestive system. It helps in ingestion of food. Ingestion means to take the food inside. It helps in that. Secretion of fluids and digestive enzymes. Different types of fluids are there. These fluids are also secreted and digestive enzymes are also secreted. Now, mixing and movement of food. It mixes with the salivary glands or salivary juices and it's moved towards our stomach and waste through the body. And waste through the body. It expels through the body. Now, digestion of food into smaller pieces. When we churn, when we bite each and every food item, it becomes smaller in pieces and it helps to engulf the food easily. Now, absorption of nutrients. So many nutrients are there in the food like micronutrients are there and macronutrients are there. Macronutrients means it includes carbohydrates, fats and proteins. And in micronutrients, it includes minerals, vitamins and our water part. Now, excretion of waste, the nutrients that are absorbed inside the body and the stuff part which is not digested by our body or by our digestive system, it excrete out of the body in a proper way. So each and every part which included in the digestive system, whether it is mouth, whether it is pharynx, whether it is esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, all the things perform different functions in this digestive system. As in our school function, teachers provides you different tasks to do to complete a different specific function. Likewise, digestive system organs are there which perform different functions to digest the food. Now, what is the process? The process is from the mouth to large intestine and anus. The food we eat from mouth and it goes expel out from the anus. Till this process held. The digestive system process can be divided into stages, namely ingestion, motility, secretion, digestion, absorption, and excretion. As we know that ingestion means the process of taking in something is called as taking in the food is called as ingestion. Motility means it moves from our mouth after churning it towards our stomach. And in stomach, some fluid secreted, that fluid mixes with our food, and then after that it digested, and if some nutrients are absorbed from specific part, like some nutrients are absorbed in our stomach, some absorbed in our small intestine, some nutrients absorbed in our large intestine. So absorption process happens over there. And the thing, the food stuff that is not digested is excrete out from our body. Now see different types, different organs of the alimentary canal. You can see a picture over there. In this, you can see a proper digestive system diagram. In there, mouth, pharynx, sorry here, esophagus spelling, O is missed out, O is silent over there, so we call it as esophagus. So mouth included it there, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. What happens over there? Let's we can quickly see that the food we eat goes into our mouth. Over there, with the help of the teeth, it's churned out and it mixed with the salivary gland, and it passes from this pharynx towards through the esophagus towards the stomach, from stomach to small intestine to large intestine, from large intestine to rectum, and excrete out from the anus. So we can see so many things are there. Apart from there, you can see liver, pancreas, gallbladder. We can see it later. What does it mean and why these things are over here? Now, the most important part, teeth. The process begins when food enters the mouth. Especially, the food we eat, it begins with the mouth. It goes inside the mouth. Over there, we can see it is physically broken down by teeth. We can see various types of different types of teeth are there. There are 4 main types of teeth called incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. The process of digestion begins with the function of teeth in the mouth. There are 4 types of teeth, namely incisors, canines, premolars, molars. Each type of tooth has a specific function. Each tooth is covered by a hard substance called enamel. In our body, the hardest substance is called as enamel. Enamel, and it is made up of calcium salt. Saliva contains an enzyme called peticillin and salivary amylase. Peticillin converts starch into a sugar called maltose. See, it is begun to be chemically broken down by amylase. Amylase is a enzyme secretes in our mouth through salivary glands, and it breaks down the food. So it helps in churning the food to make it soft, to make it in different pieces, so we can engulf it easily. So there are four main types of teeth are there: incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. Incisors, you can see we have upper jaw and lower jaw. And the same set is there in the upper jaw and lower jaw. In upper jaw, we can see four incisors and in lower jaw, we can see four incisors. Means total number 8 incisors are there in our mouth teeth set. Canines, 2 in upper jaw, 2 in lower, means 4. Now premolars, 4 in upper, 4 in lower. Molars, 3 in upper, 3 in lower, means like we have 52 teeth in our mouth set. You can see, we can see a passage through the tongue. Through tongue helps to engulf the food easily. It pushes the food inside our body in the stomach. Now you can see pharynx and esophagus. The yellow part which you can see are called as esophagus. Now see pharynx. Pharynx is the esophagus and trachea open in the pharynx. Means now what do we mean by trachea? Trachea means a tube or a duct. It is a tube or a duct which opens into the lungs, respiratory system, and esophagus is there. And the food should not mixes or goes to another organ. So there it is a cap-like structure is over there. It is called as epiglottis, which helps the food to, it closes as soon as the food passes into our body. Understood? Hope you understood it very well. What is pharynx? Okay. Or is esophagus? It is a tube leading from the pharynx to the stomach. It is a tube leading from the pharynx to the stomach. It pushes the food towards the stomach. What is the main function of esophagus? It pushes the food towards the stomach. So this is the things. Now we have learned about the mouth, set types of teeth, which helps the amylase enzymes, which mixes with the bolus, means the food stuff. It churns over there. It breaks it into different pieces. Then through this with esophagus, it goes down into the stomach. Now we can see that it is shown over the stomach. Now stomach is there. What is stomach? Let us see. The large sac-like part of the alimentary canal is called as stomach. Everyone knows where the stomach is situated. So it is a large sac. It is a part of alimentary canal and it is called as stomach. The gastric, see, it is of J shape. We can easily find out where the stomach is there. It is of J type shape. The gastric glands of the stomach secretes gastric juices. See, like in mouth, salivary glands are there which secretes the amylase. So here in stomach, gastric glands are there which secretes the gastric juices. It secretes the gastric juices. So why these gastric juices are there? These gastric juices helps the food atoms, the food stuff to digest in our body. So food that has entered stomach is churned. That enters in the stomach is churned. Already it is churned in the mouth. It divided into different pieces, small pieces, which are already churned. 3 components of gastric juices, namely hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus, you can find over there. So see, hydrochloric acid, it is a type of acid which is found in our body, right? When we are not having our food habits on proper time, so what happens? We feel like acidity. So what is this gastric acidity? What it is like? This is due to this increasing amount of this hydrochloric acid. Now pepsin is there and mucus. So all these things are there. So these things, what happens to this? These things secrete. These are the gastric juices. It are secretes from the stomach and mix with food here and becomes acidic and makes the food acidic. To protect protect the layers of the stomach from this acid, mucus is present over there. Mucus is present over there, so it does not harm the wall of the stomach. Mainly proteins are digested in the stomach. So this the pepsin is over there. So we understood about the hydrochloric acid. It helps in digestion. Mucus is there to protect the wall of the stomach from the harm of this HCl, hydrochloric acid. Now pepsin, what is the meaning? What is the function of this pepsin? The pepsin helps to digest this protein. So mainly the protein. We have the food. In our food, all the nutrients are present, like carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and water is there. So all these things absorb in a step by step manner. Like our stomach absorb mainly protein. So understood by that, ki whatever protein is present in the food stuff, it is absorbed by the stomach itself. Now, due to the churning and action of gastric juice, food becomes a semi-solid slurry which is slowly pushed into the small intestine. See, whatever things, so protein is digested by the stomach, the remaining part is there which is already churned, it is mixed with the gastric juice like HCl, hydrochloric acid, pepsin and mucus, and it becomes semi-solid slurry. Semi-solid means the half of the part is solid and half the part is liquid. So semi-liquid form, it is in semi-liquid form or semi-solid form. So what happens, which is slowly pushed into the small intestine, and it is slowly pushed into the small intestine. You can see there in this diagram, esophagus is there through which food comes down into the stomach, and in stomach we can say it's a large sac-like part of the alimentary canal. It secretes the gastric glands, you know. These gastric glands secretes the gastric juices. Food now the gastric juices like hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus present over there that mixes with this food stuff and makes it acidic to protect the wall of the stomach from this hydrochloric acid. Mucus is present, pepsin is present too, helps in the digestion of protein. So mainly the part of protein is absorbed into the stomach. Mainly proteins are digested over there. Now the gastric juices makes it semi-solid or semi-liquid, and it pushes into the small intestine. Understood? Now we'll move further to liver. The reddish part you can see over there is a liver. It is the largest gland in our body. It is the largest gland in body. So many MCQs, multiple choice questions, you can see that it included that, like, which is the largest gland in body. So you need to easily write it down that liver is the largest gland in our body. Liver is the largest gland in our body, and it has a rich supply of blood. Means it's full of blood. And what is its main function? Now we can anybody can think or like that, what is the main function of liver over there, why it is situated over there, what is the work of it's in this digestive system, how it comes. So its main function is storage of glucose. Now what is glucose? The food we eat, it after the digestion procedure, this glucose formed, this sugar formed, and it stored that glucose inside it. So its main function is this only. So it is the largest gland in our body. It has a rich supply of blood. Its main function is to storage of the glucose. Now see that the food that goes from the stomach inside the small intestine. So what is the main function of this small intestine? See, the small intestine is about 6 meters long. It is longer than the large intestine always, and it's 6 meters long. Always see, we have learned about this alimentary canal and alimentary canal, which is 9 meters long, and this small intestine is 6 meters long. most of the digestion and absorption of the food takes place. See, when we are small, now we think that food digested in the stomach, but see, the main function of small intestine is to absorb and digest most of the food that we have taken inside. So, see, in stomach, only protein is digested. Now the remaining part goes into the small intestine, and over there, most of the digestion and absorption of the food takes place here. This digestion of the procedure and absorption, both the things are takes place here in the small intestine. Now, three different digestive juices mix with the food in the small intestine. Three different juices are there that are mixes with the food in the small intestine. So understood that now we will recap once again. From mouth we eat food. It break down into small pieces with the help of the teeth. Then it mixes with the salivary gland, which secretes amylase. This amylase through the esophagus goes down into the stomach, over stomach, in the stomach, three gastric juices like hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and pepsin, hydrochloric acid, and mucus is there, which helps in the digestion. And only the protein part is digested inside the stomach. Now, in small intestine, it goes in small intestine is 6 meter long, and most of the digestion process and absorption process food takes place here. And it secretes three different types of juices which mix with the food in the small intestine. The red color part, which you can see over here, is a small intestine. Now the large intestine. What is large intestine? It is larger than the small intestine. The large intestine is 1.5 meter long, but it is short. Large means its size is large, but its length is short than the small intestine. So it is 1.5 meter long. Only water is absorbed. See the stepwise things. The protein is absorbed in stomach. The other part means other nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, and vitamins are absorbed in the small intestine, and only the water is absorbed in the large intestine. Now, the undigested food is thrown out of the body through the anus. Now, the food that remains from inside the digestive system, or in the sorry, in our small intestine, which is undigested, it's thrown out or excrete out from the body through this anus. So, understood by this, the stomach's function, small intestine function, and large intestine's function. Now we can see over here gallbladder is there. You can see a green part over there in over with the liver. We have learned about the liver. Liver is the largest gland, and this is the gallbladder, which is green in color. You can easily see that it is there. And what is the function of this? The gallbladder is situated below the liver. It's situated below the liver, and it stores bile. Now, what is bile? Bile means it is a yellow green fluid. It is a yellow green fluid secreted over there, and it stores the digestive juice secreted by the liver. So the liver secretes this bile. It is a yellow green colored fluid, and it stores inside the gallbladder. When bile is carried into the small intestine, it mixes with the food there and helps in digestion of fat. See, in small intestine, we learned that remaining nutrients like carbohydrates and fats and vitamins are digested. So what happens? This liver secretes this bile product. This bile store in this gallbladder, and after that it goes inside the small intestine to mix it with the food and helps in digestion of the fat. So understood, this bile is important to digest the fat. Like as pepsin helps to digest the proteins, likewise bile helps to digest the fat. So understood this? See, you can see over there esophagus, stomach, pancreas we are going to learn afterwards, and the gallbladder is there and liver is there. Liver is the largest gland. So understood by this? See, what is the function of this small intestine? We included it to convert protein into amino acids. We are going to learn afterwards to convert complex carbohydrates into glucose, to convert fats into fatty acid and glycerol. So these are the different function of small intestine also. Now see the pancreas. Pancreas, the yellow portion you can see in this picture is pancreas. The pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice that contains various enzymes. Now what is enzymes? Enzymes means it produced by living organisms and act as a catalyst. To make any activity faster, we use this enzyme. So the pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice. It secretes the pancreatic juice, like we have learned about the mouth secretes the amylase enzyme, then pepsin is there. Now here pancreatic juice is there, which pancreatic juice is secreted by the pancreas. Okay, so this is the process. So understood? Will the food, let's recap once. The food we taken inside, what happens to it? It breaks down into small pieces through the esophagus. It goes into the stomach. Over stomach, the gastric juices are secreted. Hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus. Over there, only protein is absorbed, and other the nutrients absorbed in the small intestine. In small intestine, the small intestine is 6 meters long, and most of the nutrients are absorbed over there and digested over there. And after that the food goes into the large intestine, only water absorbed over there, and the part which is undigested by this digestive system thrown out from the body, Now some healthy habits are there. Ma'am, hello, hello, hello. See, some healthy habits are there. Eat healthy foods. We have to eat healthy foods, like nowadays to children's loves to eat junk foods like pizzas, burgers, pani puris, and outside stuffs like samosas, which is unhealthy for our body. So we need to eat healthy food like green vegetables, fruit salads, fruits, juices, milk, है ना? Butter. These are the healthy food items that we have to eat every day. So make a habit to eat healthy. Make a habit. So if you want to eat sometimes, so once a month you can have it, but otherwise you need to. Otherwise, what will happen? You will fall ill very soon, as your body will not get the proper nutrient that are needed by our body, and you will fall ill. Right? So that's why we need to eat healthy food. Now drink plenty of water. Plenty of water means we need to drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. So it is required by our body because it is needed by our body. It's required our body. We need to drink plenty of water. If we drink little amount of water, what will happen? Our digestive system will not work properly. The food which requires water to helps in digestion will not get the proper amount of water, and what will happen? We feel like constipation. The other things, diseases are there which are happens due to these habits, eating habits only. If we will not eat healthy, we eat only junk food, we become obese, we become fat every day, we become very lazy, we are not able to, we feel not feel very active or energetic every day, we feel like coziness will be there. So these will the healthy habits, this eat healthy foods will help us to make our body more energetic. And we need to drink plenty of water, which helps in the digestion. Now the third thing is limit television and computer use. Nowadays, we can see, and we know, all knows that, like students or children loves to see the television or computer, or nowadays mobile addicted are there. So you need to limit it. Is if you need to watch it or play the game on the mobile, you need to have a specific time for that, and other times you need to have to play outside. So what happen after this, if we see televisions or play with the mobiles, most of the times what will happen, it makes us to be inside our home, and what makes we will not do our any physical activities, and due to this again we will feel feel ill, or we feel lazy, or we become obese or fat. So we have to limit it. As so you need to obey your parents, what your parents have instructed you for this television, mobile, so you need to limit the use of it. Be active for at least an hour a day, means you need to play outside for at least 1 hour in a whole day. Like, so you need to go out, you need to play with your friends, you need to talk with your friend, you need to discuss, so you can learn most of the things, and your body becomes more energetic and more active in that session. Now clean your teeth at least twice a day. Why we need to clean our day? Why we need to clean our day? Sorry, clean our teeth. We need to clean our teeth. Why? Because the food stuff we have eaten through our mouth, it's stuck inside the teeth, and now the bacterial action will be there, and our teeth become decay. So it becomes we feel like it's yellowish part, and something, it's we have bad breath problems also. So we need to brush our teeth twice a day, in the morning and before going to bed. Be kind to yourself and others. We need to kind to everyone. We need to talk in a soft voice. We need to help each other. Now get plenty of sleep. Nowadays, due to the mobile addiction, children are not able to sleep for proper specific hours, like 8 hours at least we have to take proper sleep, like understood. So we need to have this proper sleep, so this the next day we feel energetic. Wash your hands. Now since 1 year we are doing this activity, we are washing our hands. So we need to make it a habit, before eating or before having something, or after using our washrooms, we need to wash our hands properly. Find time to relax. We need to relax, means whatever things you like, whatever your hobbies are there, like you want to read, you want to talk with friends, you want to play outside, you have to do this. Eat junk food and sweets only occasionally. We need to eat we don't need to eat junk food, or if you want to eat, you can eat it occasionally, or sometime, or once a month. Have a bath or shower every day. Every day we need to take a bath. We need to clean our body properly. Now work and play safety. Wherever you play, wherever you walk, you need to walk, do it properly. So these are the healthy habits which we need to follow for every day. So eat healthy foods, drink plenty of water, limit television and computer and mobile use, be active at least for an hour a day, clean your teeth at least twice a day, be kind to everyone and helps each other, get plenty of sleep, wash your hands, find time to relax, eat junk food and sweets only occasionally, and have a bath every day, and walk and play with safety. See, now let's just recap. So you can see over there the diagram of a digestive system, and the numbers are given. You need to identify it and tell me the different organs, what you can see over there. So see, it is given already one part. The 1 number part is our mouth. So what happens with this mouth? The food gets inside our body, and now the number 2 is teeth. With the help of teeth, we have 4 types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. Through this, with the help of this, each and every teeth perform different functions. Some helps in biting, some helps in churning, some helps in grinding. You know, so these helps over there. In mouth, salivary glands are there. It secretes amylase, and it mixes with our food to make it or break it down into different pieces, small pieces, and pushes towards the pharynx, esophagus. Now, esophagus, what happens over there? Esophagus pushes the food down towards our stomach. Now, liver, we have already learned about the liver is the largest gland in our body, in our body. And what is the function of it? Is a rich supply of blood, and its main function is to storage of glucose, which is the byproduct of our digestive system. It store that. Now, the stomach, it is a large sac-like part of the alimentary canal, and it secretes the gas. It has the gastric glands, which secretes gastric juices like hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus. We have already learned about the different functions, like hydrochloric acid helps in digestion process, pepsin helps to absorb the proteins, and mucus helps the stomach walls to protect it from the hydrochloric acid, which is already present in our stomach, in our body. The mainly proteins are digested in the stomach. Due to the churning and the action of gastric juice, food becomes a semi-solid slurry. It becomes semi-solid slurry. So we have the main function we understood about the stomach is it has to digest the protein, and it pushes the food stuff in towards the small intestine. Now, pancreas. The pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice that contains various enzymes. We have learned that enzymes acts as a catalyst, means catalyst to make any activity faster. It's called as enzymes. So the pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice. Now it goes to large intestine. Large intestine, a small intestine. Now it is given large intestine. The large intestine is about 1.5 meter long. Only water is observed in this large intestine. You know that you have learned about, or you have heard about the appendix. Some appendix is there. Appendix. So what is there? It is attached with this large intestine. It was earlier. Why? The ancient man was there. That ancient man eats the raw flesh. So this appendix helps to digest that raw flesh. That's why appendix was there. Now it is the vestigial organ. Vestigial organ means now it is not in the use. It was earlier. Now it is not there. So that's why if it happens, it is going to operate. Now small intestine. The small intestine is about 6 meter long. Most of the digestion and absorption of food takes place here. Now the 3 different digestions we have learned. And then now the absorption into the blood of nutrients obtained by the digestion of food also occurs in the small intestine. Now rectum and anus, it is the passage through which the undigested food throws out of the body. Now anybody wants to ask me something? Is there any doubt in this, or have you understood? Or if you are not understood, let me know once. Hello? 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 Okay, once again, let us remind the organs, mouth, stomach, and small intestine, and glands that are present over there. So in mouth, salivary gland is present, which secretes patilene, which helps in conversion of starch into maltose. Now stomach is there. Over there, gastric wall. In this gastric wall, what happened? Gastric juices are secreted like hydrochloric acid, pepsin, and mucus to make the food acidic, which helps in digestion. Breakdown of proteins, it breaks down the protein to protect the inner lining of the stomach from hydrochloric acid. Like we have, see, hydrochloric acid's function is to make the food acidic. Pepsin, it's break down the protein. And mucus, it's protect the inner lining of the stomach from hydrochloric acid. Then liver, bile duct, bile is there. Bile means what? A yellow green fluid is there, which make the food alkaline, like due to the HCl it becomes acidic. To make it alkali, this bile product is there which mix with that food to convert large fat particles into small. It helps to digest the fat. Now pancreas, it secretes the pancreatic juices, trypsin, lipase, and amylase. To convert proteins, see, trypsin helps to convert the proteins into amino acids, to convert to fats into fatty acids and glycerol, complex carbohydrates into simple sugar, means glucose, which is being stored in the liver. Liver is the largest gland which can store which can store glucose. Now our small intestinal juices are there to convert proteins into amino acid, to convert complex carbohydrates into glucose, to convert fats into fatty acids. Understood, everyone? Now I want to share with you a little things. Nowadays, we are putting our health into risk. Like physical health is extremely important in personality development. But when our organ system functions properly, we say that we are in good health. However, harmful habits like smoking, chewing of tobacco, drinking alcohol affect our body adversely. So that's why we need to follow the healthy eating habits every day. So effects of tobacco, alcohol, smoking, it affects the digestive system. How? If we consume any tobacco products, the mouth, pharynx, alimentary canal, and other organs of the digestive system cannot function properly. So it causes problems like vomiting, nausea, headaches. Besides, tobacco particles stick to teeth, gum, and skin of the mouth cavity and slowly cause injury to that part, resulting in dysfunction. Means it does not function properly. This causes swelling of the gums and pain when moving the jaw. When we move our jaw, it causes swelling in the gums and perform the pain. We feel the pain. The pharynx and the intestine become inflamed, and the condition for the progress in cancer. So it becomes cancerous. It becomes leading to death, and it is very much risky. So understood by this? Any problem? Any doubt? Anybody? If you want to ask something. Hello, ma'am. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it's done.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, students, thank you so much for the joining. So have a happy weekend. We will again meet on the Monday. So till then, complete your homework and stay safe and stay at home. Thanks for the joining again.
Thank you.